Hi guys, welcome to another annotation video. Before anything else, I apologize for all the background noise. I am frantically trying to clean before the holidays, and I've also got the air conditioner running because it is so hot, and running around cleaning the apartment is not helping that. But I am going to be annotating Gravity by Tal Bauer today. I've read this 2 or 3 times already, so it's already tabbed. I'm not going to need to really add more tabs. I might still add a few here or there, but it's mostly already tabbed, which means today's annotation is going to feature stickers and tropes, highlighting, any other physical annotating I want to do. It's been a day, guys. This is a uni Jetstream in 0.38. It's black. I know it's got a pink outer casing, but it's super fine. So we're gonna see how that goes in here. Normally I would prefer, say, like a 0.5, but I've got these super fine ones for my Hobonichi, and I'll need to find a ruler somewhere. I've learnt my lesson. We just rule things now. That's what we're going to do. This is the first hockey book in Tal Bauer's sort of hockey universe. They are interconnected standalones in that the characters from this book are mentioned very briefly in the rest of the story. So canonically, this takes place first, and it is about Bryce, who is the star player in the NHL. He plays for Montreal. He meets Hunter at an All-Stars game, and the two of them just hit it off from the very start. They are instantly friends. They just connect on the ice, and they are incredible players together when they are on the ice. Bryce is queer but hasn't come out publicly, and when he makes a move on Hunter, Hunter freaks out. From there, Hunter ends up being traded to Montreal, and the two have to find a dynamic and a flow playing on the same team, while Hunter is realizing that he does have feelings beyond friendship for Bryce. It is a wonderful book. It was the very last book that I read in 2022. I read this on New Year's Eve. It's one of those books that I remember exactly when and where I was reading it, how much I loved it. It was also a gift from Ebony, so thank you again, Ebony, because this has just started me down my rabbit hole. We're going to reread it, so stay tuned. So I have finished my reread of Gravity, and this is still one of my favorite hockey romance covers. I like the ones with, you know, photos of people actually playing hockey, but anyway, I just think the composition of this one is actually very visually appealing, and the color scheme. Not that it really lets you know anything about the book, but from a visual perspective, I really like it. It was interesting while I was reading this, I didn't make as many notes as I have in some other books, and part of it is because I don't really think that it needs it, because most of my notes are basically me going, oh, they're so cute. Bryce and Hunter are just the cutest couple once they sort of get over everything that happens, and I had to go back and change actually my content warning for the injury that happens in the book, because for some reason I always think that it's a skate blade to the neck, and given everything that happened earlier this year and the player that was killed, like, that's where my brain goes. I always forget that. I always forget it. I know it's something to do with the throat, but it's actually a puck to the throat, so be aware of that. There is like traumatic injury and surgery and healing. And look, I spent a little bit of time visiting in the ICU in the past week, so part of me is sitting there going, yeah, this is not 100% realistic, and it's not, but the recovery period and how fast they get people out of ICU at the moment is unreal. So that part was fairly authentic, because I can't even wrap my head around how fast they get people out of ICU, which is a good thing, but just blows my mind. So yeah, like the first third of the book is really Hunter and Bryce, like they have this instant connection and friendship, and then Bryce makes a move and it doesn't go quite the way that he plans. And so for the first third of the book, they spiral. Then there is a really gorgeous scene where they just get out of Montreal and are playing hockey on a lake, but they get caught up in a snowstorm. So there is a snowed in element in here, which is really nice, but they end up snowed in at a convenience store. And the guy that runs the convenience store, whose name is Guy, probably I'm mispronouncing that because many of the characters in this book are French Canadian. He is a sort of this side character who turns up in this little scene, and then at the end of the book they come back to see him, and like the scenes between him and Bryce are just precious. They are so precious. Anyway, I love this. It is an all-time favorite. There is a lot in here that is really kind of like a primer for people who don't really know hockey, which is great. And as I was reading it, I think I made a note about it, is that there are a lot of things that I mentioned in this book that the first time that I read it, and even the second time that I read it, I probably didn't pick up or understand as much as I do now that I've watched, well, I watched half a season of hockey over here in Australia and have been sporadically keeping up with the teams that I follow in the NHL. Like what's mentioned in here, I understood it, but now I actually understand it and I have a frame of reference. And when they talk about some of the plays and some of the types of characters or positions on the ice, I actually understand it and I have a frame of reference because I know exactly which players are those on the teams that I follow. It's interesting. Like it's really fascinating, and that has, you know, prompted me to become an ice hockey nerd over the last 6 months, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just do not expect that to happen with any other sport, because I really don't care about any other sport still. Thank you for joining me on my annotating journey of Gravity. No doubt there will be more rereads in here. For as much as this book packs an emotional punch in terms of them having to sort themselves out and also have to recover from the injury in here, which is very similar to the rest of the story, like there is that element in here. It is just such a sweet book. It is just gorgeous the way that these two connect and the way that they explore who they are and their sexuality with one another, because that's what they are to each other. And I love that. In the comments, I'd love to know if you've read Gravity or if you're planning on picking it up at some point in the future. Otherwise, feel free to leave a hockey stick emoji down below. I know I use that every time I talk about a hockey book, but let's face it, it's accurate. Although I suppose you could leave a snowflake if you want to, because there's a lot of snow in this book. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys are doing really well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.